I'm heading for the airport in a few minutes here to join the team in the other Columbia, as I said, and bring back a win. So your job is to channel the Tiger Spirit. Channel the Tiger Spirit to the other Columbia, okay? Don't confuse the two. Get to the right place here, we'll be okay. Just a couple of remarks here. Thank you, Kathy, for inviting me to come by today. This is an extraordinary group. I've been part of higher education as a employee of various kinds, faculty member, et cetera, for about 40 years now. The first 30 of those years, I was primarily a faculty member. I taught my classes, mentored my graduate students, did my research, did my service, and I had ever-increasing levels of responsibility over time administratively, but it was strictly within that faculty domain of teaching and research and service. I did my thing. About 10 years ago, I showed up at the campus the Texas A&M operates in Galveston as the CEO of the campus. That was my first leadership role for an entire campus. And boy, did I learn a lot real quick. Faculty members don't see what you do very often. They just don't see it. I spent 30 years thinking I understood universities. Then I discovered student affairs, including residence life and all the good things that go along with that. Discovered dining services, discovered my police, discovered bookstores, discovered everything that I never saw before. So when you get to my level, from the academic chain, to get to the very top, you don't see it. Even a provost doesn't see what you do every day. But I do now. For 10 years I have. And I've truly come to appreciate what goes into making a university great from a student's perspective. And you're part of that equation. Sure, the faculty here are central to our mission. They're the ones carrying on our most important job of educating our students in a formal sense of the word. But you have your role, too, in education. You teach every day, one way or the other, don't you? You know what I mean? You interface, almost all of you interface with students every single day. And the interface is an opportunity to teach. Maybe it's off a negative lesson. Flicking that lighter in the residence hall and setting your sheets on fire isn't necessarily a smart thing to do. But we use that, right, Frankie, as a teachable moment, okay? You see them also. I mean, you may be dealing with them in serving them food, dealing with them in terms of some type of organizational leadership role they play. There's all kinds of interfaces every single day that you have with our students that are teachable moments. Moments they can learn from you. So it's not just your words, it's your actions, your attitude, your smile. That's so critical. Now, I smile a lot because I'm happy, first of all, but I smile a lot because I want people to smile back. You know my pattern. I talk to these kids every day, and I ask them some questions about their name and where they're from. I ask them about their major. If they're not from this state, I ask them why Mizzou. Those are my questions. I always stick in the question, are you happy? Are you happy? They are. Oh, sure, there are rough spots. This is not a piece of cake here, okay? We have academics that are demanding. We have all the things that go along with being 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, and all those interpersonal crises you have every day. It brings tears to your eyes and butterflies to your stomach. So they don't have it easy. But fundamentally, they're happy. And you're part of that reason they're happy. You're part of it. Thank you for that. Thanks for making them happy. I talk to parents. I say, what more do you want? Your child be happy. You help accomplish that. So thanks for making Mizzou what it is, a place these young people are happy to be at. So I don't want to say much more. I've got to get out of here, but I really want to share with you my appreciation for all you do each and every day. Again, you aren't visible, everybody, but you are visible to the ones that really count, the students. They know you're there. And I try to encourage them, and I hope they do this, to say thank you back to you. So keep the smile on your face. Keep the joy in your heart for the mission you have here at Mizzou. to keep them happy, to keep them happy. Not easy, not simple, but keep them happy because they want to be part of this great institution that you're part of as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chancellor Lofton. That it's nice to have somebody at the top understand, isn't it? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, welcome this morning. I'm delighted that you're here. First of all, my spiel is I always have to tell you that I selected the music for the slideshow. So if the lyrics were inappropriate, I apologize. I select music based on the rhythm and the beat more than, I hear it and I go, oh, that. And of course, my age has something to do with it. So the first one was Earth, Wind, and Fire's September. And then we got a little bit more hip, and Ain't It Fun by Paramore, who I've never heard of, and Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, who I have heard of, and I'm not a fan, but I did happen to like that song. So that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Before I start with my formal remarks, I want to be sure to thank our Professional Development Committee, who has been responsible for the activities for today, for our new staff orientation, and then for the program, and then our folks that are going to help with the barbecue. So I want to be sure to give them a shout out. Kim Stonecipher and Anna Valievska have co-chaired the committee, and I don't even know if any of them are in the room anymore. Are they? Oh, Kim, you are. Okay. Very good. Kim? I've got Anita Cowan and Angela Dahman, Bunny Grice, Kathy Giles, Michelle Murphy, Kara Pennington, Jessica Semler, and Amy Tesh. Are any of them in the room, or did they all scoot out already? Very good. Very good. Thank you, guys. So it's been a semester. It's been a year, and I want to do some special, welcomes this morning. First of all, the Student Health Department of Student Health has joined us in Student Affairs, so we've got a lot of new employees. You guys, who's here from Student Health? Stand up. Who's here? And you know what we did immediately? We got them shirts, because that's what we do. We get shirts. We get shirts. We are Student Affairs. We make a significant contribution to this campus, as the Chancellor said. And we make a significant contribution to retention. You may have heard that our retention is the highest it's been in the history of the campus. It's over 86%. Like the Chancellor said, the students are happy. Part of the reason they're happy is because people do smile at them and say hello, and they're starting to feel like it's a friendly campus. We make sure that they spend their out-of-class hours and are productive. And we're a strong partner with the academic experience, and so we're very, very excited about that. And we shape the Mizzou student experience around the university's core values. So, okay, we're going to talk about the values. And I'll start with respect. Now, you notice the Chancellor recites them in alphabetical order. I think that's his mnemonic device to remember them. I've learned him respect, responsibility, discovery, and excellence, so I'm going to go that route. Even though he's the boss, I'm going to go with what I know. Okay. So we talk about respect, and for us, respect means inclusivity and access. It means education, and it means awareness. We welcome Tigers of all stripes, as Struby told us. We help students recognize and value cultural and human differences. The LGBTQ Resource Center is going to be sponsoring its second annual Show Me Pride Summit tomorrow because we believe that all students are important and all students matter. 25% of the student life programs were diversity related, and that includes their educational programs, culturally based programs, and that includes some social stuff. We have performers from a diverse background. The majority of our students who register at the Disability Center have no visible disability, but in fact are there, and we need to be aware and educated about their needs and make sure that they have access, and we do. And we are grateful for a staff that provides that support for our students. We're also working to break down the stigma of mental health and the issues that come along with that. Many of you have participated in mental health first aid training, and we're excited because Christy Hutton and some of her crew are developing a little nuanced mental health first aid, because the one that comes to us from the national level is not quite geared for college students, and so our staff have taken it upon themselves to develop a program that'll be an 8-hour program. Is that I've seen you? It's going to take 8 hours of instruction. It's going to be geared toward college students. It's going to be very, very relevant. I think we're going to copyright that puppy. We may sell it to other people, because I think we've got something going here that is extremely, extremely important, that shows that we believe in our students, we respect them, and we show them respect, and we want them to respect one another. We teach our students responsibility, and we teach our students responsibility all the time, and we've got folks that are holding students accountable. Our friends in student conduct, as the chancellor said, it's an educational moment for many of our students that get to visit Ronnie and Danelle. But the reality is that we do educate them, and we teach them responsibility. But we also teach them through their employment opportunities. We teach them through community service. We've developed our students in responsibility through our leadership programs. We send students across the country to do community service. That's about responsibility. Mizzou Breaks nearly doubled in size. We're number 2 in the country in alternative break programs, okay, folks? And I'm telling you, Brian Gores is going to make us number 1. It's no small task to send 800 students over spring break someplace else. Think of the minivans on the road. Think of 6 or 7 students in that minivan for 15 or 16 hours. If you ever follow them on Twitter, sometimes it almost gets disgusting. But anyway. And we bring the world to our students, and we've done that. We had Barbara Panseri here from the University of Botswana, who stayed with us for almost an entire academic year. And many of you had an opportunity to meet Barbara, to interact with her, to hear her talk about her experiences as a student affairs administrator at an African university. And when she showed us pictures of her campus, I think some of us were kind of surprised. It was quite modern. I don't know what all of us, what people were expecting about the African continent. But as she talked to us about the same issues that we deal with here. And so it was very interesting to hear, college students, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're kind of alike around the world, kind of have a lot of the same issues. We brought Jane Goodall here to bring another type of the world to us. And she really inspired our students and inspired the whole audience with her words about how we can affect our environment and our world. We teach students to stand up for each other through Green Dot, through bystander training. Life isn't a spectator sport. We teach students to educate each other. We have wonderful peer education programs. In fact, they are probably some models, national models, for around the country. Student Health has peers. The Multicultural Centers uses peers. RSVP uses peers. The Wellness Resource Center has a cadre of peers, that students talking to students about issues that matter. Students saying things to each other that you and I could say and will go one in one ear and right out the other. But you know what? When somebody who looks like them talks to them about it, it makes a tremendous difference. And those students can't do that unless we have excellent, committed staff that work with them to teach them how to do those presentations. Both of our daughters, I'm going to get personal for a minute, both of our daughters were peer educators, and I used to think, that's great, they're learning a lot of great material that'll help them be good citizens and be healthy, but they also learn how to make a presentation. What kind of valuable learning experience is that? How many people have you seen, now don't be saying this one, that don't know what they're doing when they make a presentation, Okay, Anand. And one thing that's really exciting, and one thing we're going to be doing new this year, is we're going to be developing a mentor program for students who are on the spectrum. For our students who are suffering from Asperger's and other spectrum diseases, we're going to develop some mentors for them to help them. Because we know that they're bright, that they can be successful, and they can function greatly, but they do need somebody to say, hey, don't do that again. Don't say that again. And you know what? They respond very, very well. And they are extremely successful, and so I'm excited about that. Where am I? Responsibility, discovery. To me, in my world, discovery means creativity. You know, when we talk about it in the academic side, we always talk about research. But folks, it's about creativity for us. It's about new ideas. It's about continuously improving what we do. And it is about assessing what we do. You know, we seek new and better ways to do things all the time. We have no choice. I remind people that every year we get about 6,000 new folks. And they have never experienced this campus, so everything's new to them. They've got all kinds of new ideas. And you sit there and go, oh, no. We tried that 10 years ago and it didn't work. But no, it's new to them. And so we have to think of ways to be creative, and we work on that with them. We've done some, we've done some things to improve our processes. The Student Health Center knows that best because they went to electronic medical records, and I hear they're still trying to figure out how to work them, but that's not true. No, that's not true. No, but you've been challenged by that, and I think that's great. We've got a very cool program in rec. I bet you don't know about this, but we call it the Fitness Showcase, and Diane went out and decided to get over $750,000 in product donated to the rec center, and that product is our machines, the most state-of-the-art machines, whether they're ellipticals or whatever, things that you can work out on. And she's talked vendors into letting Mizzou Tigers work on those. Am I close to right about this? She's talked these vendors into letting Mizzou Tigers work on these brand new prototypes for a year to make sure they work. And then, when they work, we're going to say, they're Tiger tested. The Mizzou Tigers say, that's a good product. Vendors want to hear that. And so that's sort of a little creative way of getting some folks to cooperate with us and be corporate partners. Here's a cool one, and I'm sorry the chancellor's not here because I was going to disparage the faculty a little, but I won't do it. Since he's not here, maybe I will. So maybe you know that in the bookstore, students still buy some textbooks. And in the past, our textbooks have always been organized by course number. So if you were taking English 1000, you went to the English 1000 rack, and depending on your section, there were the books that you were supposed to have for class. Well, that's okay, except that textbook might be offered here in English 1000, and it might also be offered in a literature course that's an English 2330 class. And so now we have to have books over here on this shelf, and we have to have them across the room over here on this shelf, and if this shelf runs out, then we have to run over here and get one. And so it was very inefficient. And so the bookstore said, you know what? Why don't we just organize books by in alphabetical order by the author of the book? And we can just put everybody whose last name starts with A, and we'll just start just like our students are probably used to all their lives. Well, they adjusted to that perfectly. No problem. You know, they got a printout of the books that they were supposed to get. They got a printout of the name of the author, and they went and found the books, and boom, they're in and out. Now when our faculty colleagues came into the bookstore, they had their own opportunity for discovery. Let's just put it that way, okay? So, but the bookstore found out, wow, they must have saved like $100,000. Did I make that up? Where are you, Sherry? Did I make that up? What? $100,000. Just because you don't have staff running around trying to make sure the inventory's in the right place. That's discovery, and that's continuous quality improvement. You know, and of course, assessment is also a part of our discovery, and I wanted to be sure and recognize our assessment champions, and here's a whole list of names. We could have put pictures by that, but it would have had to be 2 slides, and so we won't do that. But these are the folks that have helped us assess this past year some of our columns of learning. Assessments discovery. Thank you, assessment champions, for working in your own departments, getting folks to ask those right questions. All those surveys, all that data that we've collected has created and is creating a culture of evidence for the Division of Student Affairs. And I'll talk about a little bit more about what we learned. Excellence. Well, you know, excellence is just an expectation for us. It's about national models. I told you already, our peer education program across the division is a national model. Our new student and parent programs is a national model. Mizzou Rec is a national model. Campus dining is a national model. Our freshman interest groups that are 20 years old, by the way, 20 years old. Okay, who remembers when we started our freshman interest groups? Yes, but we were all 20 at the time, right? Yeah. All right. But our freshman interest groups and learning communities are a national model. Our bookstores, our buildings, our student center is a national model. Our alcohol and substance abuse program is a national model. We've received awards and recognitions over and over and over again for the things that we do to, in fact, promote excellence and to demonstrate excellence. And you all are to be commended for that. And then, of course, I'm going to flash a number up here. This is an interesting number, $9,100,484.94. That's how much money we spent last year on student employment. $9 million on student employment. Now, 25% of the students that work on campus work in our division. Okay, well, maybe that makes sense. Next year, we're going to budget $10.3 million to employ students. Now, let me tell you something. That's not just about putting money in kids' pockets, but it is. A lot of our students need that money to pay rent, to buy groceries, to buy gas in their cars. Yes, I know. And to pay for their cell phones, whatever. But it keeps them here. It's a retention tool. But let me tell you something. It's more than that. It builds confidence. They contribute back to campus. They feel like they're contributing. It uniquely connects our students to the university. And you guys know that who work with them. Those students become a part of your organization. For some of you, they become a part of your family. We have student employees that come back to us and send us pictures of their kids and, the whole thing, because they get connected, and it keeps them here in school. And don't forget, folks, it gives them great experience, hands-on experience, and professional development opportunities. And we found out in our assessment of student employment that we have leadership development programs almost across the division. We have resume writing programs. We have professional development programs. We prepare our students to work and for the world of work. And what we've got to do, and one of the things that we're going to spend some time on, I think, in the future, is we're going to start talking about how we help students articulate what they learn when they work for us. What they learn when they work for us. And one of the most important things they learn is to show up. Folks, if people will just show up, it makes a big, big difference. So what's next? What's next for student affairs? Well, I think if the chancellor is really, really interested in the safety of our students, and if you haven't signed the hashtag Student Affairs Pledge that NASPA's got out there, I want to encourage you to go out to that website and do that. We're committed to making Mizzou safe. We just had a Safe Mizzou Week, and kudos to Kathy Murray and her crew for putting that on. I hope all of you have seen the MSA video, Enough is Enough. It's our job, it's our business, it's my business, it's your business, the safety of this campus. And so I want to encourage you to think about that as we deal with our students. We provide the campus resources to make the place safe. We provide psychologists, psychiatrists. We have helpers and counselors and RSVP to help our students who are sexual assault and sexual violence survivors. We do Green Dot training to help men and women know how to be safe and know how to take care of each other. We provide educational programs through the Wellness Resource Center. And I want to be sure that we have been inundated with stuff about Title IX, and you've probably heard about it in the newspaper. You probably have just seen the new collected rules that we've been waiting for, but we did finally get them. But I want to be sure to say a special thank you to Laura Hackward and to Danica Wolf, Kristen Temple, Danelle Young, and Ronnie D.A., because these guys have worked and worked and worked to get this stuff ready for our students and to have us ready. So, to you all, thank you. And let me tell you something about that. The Title IX coordinator, Dr. Linda Bennett, she said to me one day, because these folks have been spending a lot of time together. She said, "Kathy, I just love working with your staff." And I said, "Well, thank you." And she said, they just do, they just want to do it. And they have a great attitude about getting the job done. And I thought, that's what we are. That's who we are. We believe in getting that job done because it's important. So I want to remind you that we're all mandatory reporters. Here's your little lesson for the day. If a student talks to you or you hear about a student that has been a victim of any type of violence or assault, that you must report it, and you must report it to your supervisor, and if you don't want to report it to them, you need to let me know, and then I need to let the Title IX coordinator know. And our job first and foremost is to make sure our students are safe, okay? So when they say, "Oh, no, it's not about, I don't want to get anybody in trouble." No. We want to make sure you're safe. Is this a student that you don't want to run into in class? Then we need to know so we can help. So I can call the provost and say, "Let's get this schedule changed." We need to know, so if a student needs to be moved to a different place in the residence hall, we need to know that. If they need to be in a different work environment, we need to know that. We can take care of a lot of the other stuff too, but first and foremost, this is about keeping our students safe and making them feel comfortable on our campus. Okay, so that's my teachable moment for a minute. On to advancement. We got to talk about this because fundraising is important now, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't raised to raise money, but I'm figuring out how to do it. I just want you to know that over the past year, Iris Calloway and her team of Iris Calloway raised almost $600,000 for the Division of Student Affairs. $600,000. Now, a chunk of that went to the Mizzou Alternative Breaks. A chunk of that went to the Parents Fund that's unrestricted, and a chunk of it went to the Mizzou Student Experience Fund. And so it allows us to have gift money, unrestricted money, that we can give to students, that we can give to student organizations. And I tell parents, and I just told them this last weekend, and they're starting to get phone calls, by the way, from the calling folks asking them to give money. I said, when you give money to the Parents Fund, I take that money and I spend it on things that your students want and that will help your students. And so that's what we do, and that's what we do with that private giving. And I would remind you that it starts here with what they're doing while they're on campus. And so the connections that you make with them builds them into good University of Missouri supporters. And from that, you stay in touch with them and they stay in touch with us, and you can work your way right up the pyramid to the tippy top where they start to give. We've got folks that graduated 20 years ago that have made commitments to Mizzou and to the Division of Student Affairs, and we're going to continue to do that. Folks that have, I heard a young man in my office tell his nephew, everything I learned that I do in my law practice, I learned by working in MSA. Everything that I learned about how to negotiate, how to talk to people across the table, how to deal with conflict, I learned because I was involved outside of the classroom. And his involvement was MSA. Pretty cool. So that's what we do. I want to talk for a couple of minutes about assessment and some of what we found out. Ashley Graybaugh has a new role. She's been working primarily in student life, but now she's going to be the assessment coordinator for the division. So we're up in the game a little bit and trying to establish even more so our culture of evidence. And we're not just doing assessment just for grins, we're really doing it to try to figure out what we do well and what we don't want to do anymore. We want to figure out where we should put our resources. We want to know how we're having an impact. And, when we talked, I've told you before, when we talked about developing what we were going to assess, I said, look, we got these 4 great values here. Let's build off of those values. And let's decide that we're going to talk about assessing these domains, these columns of student learning and development. Let's not recreate the wheel. And then let's go from there. And so as we continue to assess our programs and our activities, it's important for us. It's important to establish this culture of evidence because we work in an academic institution. And folks, we can't just say we do good. We change students' lives. We got to say how we do that. And we have to say how well we do it. It's about integrity. It's not, and it's about credibility. But, I'm always reminded as I look at the kinds of results we have in assessment that education's more than a degree. You know that. We teach students everything that can't be found in a textbook. You know that too. And our task is extremely complex. And so assessing it is also complex, but we're going to do it so that we can move forward into the future. The university's 175 years old. I'm not going to ask any of you except for Stan whether you've been here 175 years. No, maybe not 175, right, Stan? He just was here when the 5 columns, yeah. How many years, Stan? 40, all right. Stan Freeman's been here with us for 40 years. Yeah. So, yeah. I know that about Stan, but who else has been here 40 years or more? Okay, they're working. But I think as we think about our successes and as we work at assessment, we also need to we got to continue to move forward. At last Thursday at Chancellor Lofton's inauguration, he announced a 25-year visioning project. What do we want the university to look like in 25 years? And I thought, this is really important to us. This is important in student affairs because we really care about students and we want to keep up and we want to be a university that's of the future. And so that clearly, with that in our minds, what is it that we want to be about in 25 years? And what would the Mizzou student experience look like in 25 years? So, okay, let's think with me for a moment. That came right out of the Jetsons. Where does this stuff come from? Okay, so the year is 2039, okay? University will be 200 years old in 2039. Okay, in 2039, we've had extreme heat waves, and they'll require campus under an air-cooled dome. Full-fledged virtual reality will deem traditional classrooms obsolete with an emphasis placed on learning spaces like the residence halls and the student center in their place. Traditional academic buildings will feature res hall-style studios to house faculty and residents. Gathering places for students will increase in demand and in value. The columns will still stand. Oh, yes, and we'll have lights off the top. And then here's my favorite. PeopleSoft will be replaced. All right, and in 2039, we hope we'll have a new virtual ID system with a full-scale use of a wrist radio and what have you. We'll probably have eye recognition so you can't get into any building without doing all kinds of stuff. All of our cars will be electric or alternatively fueled, and all parking garages will come equipped with charging bays. Hovercraft street buses, hybrid light rail, and a trolley will provide transportation on all campus, and as the campus will have no vehicles ever again. Service vans will be replaced with decentralized work teams and service centers located in former academic spaces, which are now obsolete. Faculty offices will be replaced by faculty gathering lounges designed for student-faculty interaction and research project teams. Surface lots will be eliminated, as will campus street parking. Sidewalks will double in width and feature illuminated curbing and built-in trash and recycling stations. The Office of the Chancellor will be outsourced. No, that was not right. So what else do you see? 2039. You know, when we talked, if you ever read 1984, everybody thought, no way we're going to be able to look into a screen and see the person that we were going to be talking to. No way. Yeah. We call it Skype today. So yes, 2039. So what is your vision? What should the best student affairs division in the nation look like? What can we be? Who will we be in 2039? So I'm asking you that because over the next few weeks, I'm going to be putting together a visioning task force to look at our division, to talk about what is it we want to look like in 2039. And each of you, as far as I'm concerned as an expert, each of you have some ideas about what you think we can be in 25 years. And you have something to contribute, but not everybody wants to sit in a meeting. So we're going to set up a special online forum and start collecting ideas. What do you think we ought to be doing? How do you think we ought to be looking at things? It's in our hands to shape the destiny of this division. This division that's a national model. This division that has people who truly care about our students. And so I want to encourage you to go out to that online forum, and I'm probably going to shoot a message to you and say, click here and do all that. And you know who has the hardest time clicking, don't you? But anyway, I'll take your input. So we talked about our core values, but there's a real important fifth value that we live every day and we don't even think about, and that's relationships. Chancellor Lofton mentioned that in his inaugural that relationships are the currency of life. And we know that. They're required of us to build those relationships, to get things done. They're required for students to succeed when they leave here. And I want to mention a few folks that have really developed some amazing relationships. We got an email a few weeks ago about Matt Buckley from the Disability Center. A non-traditional student wrote to the chancellor and said, boy, you got to do something for Matt Buckley. He's amazing. He took great care of me. He helped me as an older student who sort of gets pushed aside and ignored and made me feel like I belong and helped me to be successful. That's the kind of folks that we have in student affairs. Matt Buckley, right over there, Matt. Let me tell you about somebody else, and I was just amazed by this. Rick Gunier. Rick, have I said, where's Rick? Is he here even? All right, that's okay. You tell him I talked about him. Rick's a business maintenance manager. I think that's his title. Building maintenance mechanic, BMM. That's all I could remember, so I'm working at it. Rick was up on a floor, a women's floor in the residence hall doing his work, and he saw a young man walk into the ladies' restroom. He was not supposed to be there. And Rick could hear the shower running, and he went to the door, and the young man came out, and he says, what are you doing? And you can imagine the young man going, whoa. And Rick said, don't leave the building. Don't leave this building. And he said, I'm going right down the hall in this room. And Rick said, don't leave. And Rick knocked on the door again, and he said, is anybody in there? And this young woman said, I am. He said, okay. And so she finished her shower, and Rick waited for her outside that door, and he said again, are you okay? And she said, yeah. And he said, let me walk you to your room. Let me walk you to your room, because of how creeped out it was for her to have that young man in that restroom. Those are the kinds of people we have working for us, and those are the kind of relationships that we expect from our staff, and that's what we get. So we need to give Rick a hand, so you guys tell him. You got a shout out. These are the kinds of relationships that we have with our students. We have folks that work in campus dining services who know the names of the people that come through the line. You know how many people come through those lines every day? And they know the names of those students. We have folks that hear a student crying in the restroom and give them a hug when they come out. Do you need a mom hug? Yeah. And they get a hug. We have folks that certainly develop and build those relationships. We have folks that counsel and assist students that just need somebody to talk to or may need more. We provide clean and excellent living, dining, leisure, gathering spaces across the campus because of our relationships. We give them great food to eat. We give them great health care. We build relationships. And we give them experiences and tools to step out into the world with confidence. It's about those relationships, folks. That's who we are. That's who we are. We are Student Affairs. So thank you. May 2005. 14, 15, be our finest. M-I-Z. All right.